Well, it's a winter wonderland on this Monday morning here in central Illinois. With any luck, I won't stick it in a ditch or whatever, but I thought about recording this Saturday, and there's been so many moving parts, but it's been an eventful weekend. It's been I think kind of a predictable weekend, and a kind of a sad weekend also, in that I totally agree with Josh Whitman when he pointed out that, even if these moments are an opportunity for hopeful change, it's just sad to see people lose their jobs, and they have families, and they're prideful people, and a guy like John Gross worked his tail off at this thing. I mean, nobody wanted to do better than he did, and so but as I saw where Missouri's fired Kim Anderson, and I saw one of his comments where he said, this is a great job, but if you don't win enough games, you don't get to stay. And that's the truth. And that's the truth that Josh Whitman understood, albeit difficult for him to fire a guy who's a good friend. But he, as I knew he would, saw the greater responsibility to the program and the university. And this is where having an AD who has institutional knowledge is really a benefit, because Josh was here in 2005 and he remembers what it was like. And we all have this debate. You probably have had it with your friends and different people about what is Illinois basketball? What should it be? What's realistic? And Josh remembers 2005 and says that's what it should be. It doesn't mean that they compete for a national championship every year, but it means that games are once again an event in the State Farm Center, that tickets are in high demand, that the excitement and the fun is at a high level, and that we don't have these selection Sundays anymore where Illinois fans are sitting on the sideline just watching the thing going, well, I remember what that was like. Enough of that. As we know now, Illinois is going to the NIT. They'll play Valparaiso Tuesday night, and Jamal Walker has been elevated from assistant coach to interim head coach. So Jamal's in charge of the team. I think he's also very much in charge of trying to save this recruiting class as they sit and wait and wonder who they will be playing for. And Josh has gone about that quest to find the next coach. He made it clear also that this is not going to be a Lovie Smith deal where Bill Cubit's fired on a Saturday, Lovie's introduced on a Monday. He said, you won't be back over here Monday. Actually, we will be over there Monday to talk to Jamal, but we won't be over there to meet the new coach. I think he has pursued Monty Williams, the vice president of basketball operations for the San Antonio Spurs, a guy that was brought to him as a really good candidate by Jerry Colangelo, former Illini, president of the Phoenix Suns, director of USA Basketball. And it just sounds like Monty's situation. Remember, his wife was killed a year ago, and he is the single parent of 5 children, that his NBA life is more conducive to taking care of these children right now than would a college job be, where you are recruiting all the time, including throughout the summer. And so I totally respect that. He's got to do what's right for those kids. But so that may not work out, but I still think Josh is probably using Jerry Colangelo as his main resource. He said the other day he's not using a search firm. You got to use somebody to go back channel on these candidates. And many of his candidates now may be college coaches who are involved with their team in the NCAA tournament, perhaps the NIT, who knows. And so that will probably take a minimum of a week and maybe longer, depending on how long his top candidates are tied up with their current college teams. There may also be other people with pro connections that Jerry has suggested, and we'll see. But Josh said he's willing to pay money. He knows what the marketplace is going to demand. I wish he'd take a run at someone like Greg Marshall. I'm told that he'd be really hard to get. He certainly has very little financial incentive to leave Wichita State with the amount of money he's making. He's making, I believe, around $3.1 million a year. And I believe he feels like he can hold out for a blue blood job. If Tom Crean left Indiana, that might interest him. If Rick Pitino retired at Louisville, that might interest him. But you don't get to hit a home run if you don't get the bat off of your shoulder and take a swing with it. And I think Josh is not in the least bit bashful about swinging the bat and going to people who others say, well, you probably can't get that guy, and taking a crack at it. So, Saturday, if you listen to or watch the streaming of the press conference, the thing that should give you the most confidence is the person who's going to conduct this search and do this hire. He cares so much about the school, and he remembers when it was great, and he absolutely believes it can be that way again. And if I'm a fan, that's what I want to hear from my guy. That's what I want to hear. And it was difficult for Josh. I asked him, I said, is this the toughest decision you've had to make in your career as an athletic director, 3 different schools? And he said, have I had to make a tougher decision? Maybe. But he says none of them have hurt this much. And that's okay. As long as you don't let that get in the way of doing what's right, and he didn't, and so on we go into this next chapter. So, NIT game tomorrow. Really haven't thought much about it. I know Valparaiso's a good team, but they've lost their best player for the season with a stress fracture, the Horizon League Player of the Year, a guy who was averaging 18.5 points and 8.5 rebounds, and so they're a weakened team, and that's to Illinois' advantage. Illinois State, the number 1 seed in that quadrant, Illinois number 2. And so an Illinois State matchup is possible, not until the 3rd round, and that game would be played at Redbird Arena in Normal. This is going to be an interesting period. Very interesting. The one interesting thing about tomorrow's game, NIT, we kind of poo-poo NIT, but I'm interested to see someone else coach the team. What does Jamal do? Does everything just the same? Or does he institute some changes that he's believed in, and maybe John didn't believe in him? I don't know. That's going to be kind of interesting to see. Darren Hertz, who was John's special assistant, has been promoted to elevated, I should say, to assistant coach, so that they have a full complement of assistant coaches, guys that can be involved in recruits, guys who can be on the floor coaching in practice and all that business. So it'll be a different look for them tomorrow, and we'll see what becomes of that. So anyhow, thank you for listening to this edition of Riding Shotgun, and we'll have news obviously coming in the week or weeks to come. Thanks very much.